I'm glad we got to do this because I was thinking that that we wouldn't get to do a fugu.
Yeah.
And this definitely worked out well.
Oh, good. There's a head here, shoulders. Can you see it actually? Do you see it? Do you see it?
I think that I could see it, but...
Am I just a nutter?
I was a typical rock and roller, a typical British rock and roller who didn't learn to drive till I was, what, 34. So I was driven around for years by tour managers and just lying legless in the back, not having a clue where I was. And I found now that if I'm not driving myself, I feel like I don't have any control over my life. I feel as though, at least if I'm driving, I know I'm going to get there. If I'm falling asleep at the wheel, I pull over and I have a sleep. But at least I'm in control. And I have to say that in terms of doing this field work, I'm anti-car, but we're stuck in this car culture. After about 6 or 7 years of traveling, I started realizing that I was staying more and more in travel lodges. And people were asking me why. Why are you staying in travel lodges all the time? They're totally characterless, they're totally anonymous, they're always the same. And I said, precisely. I said, I'm just getting fed up with traveling for 7 hours, being exhausted after a full day's field work, and then having to listen to, you know, some sweet biddy who says, oh, you know, this is the porch that we built 2 years ago, and I just feel like, give me the keys, bitch. Anonymity is everything. It's the only way to achieve what I'm trying to achieve, I think. Is give me the keys, bitch, too compassionless? I know, it's probably more rock, isn't it?
River Emot.
Okay, we're now just east of Penrith. Yesterday we drove from the West Penwith Peninsula, which is Land's End, stayed in a travel lodge, chilled out, and now we're travelling east of Penrith. So we're way up in Cumbria. We're off to Long Meg and her daughters, which I guess is what, the 6th biggest stone circle in Britain. It's a very, very powerful stone circle, and a place of great mystery. We're now standing at Long Meg and her daughters. It's a fantastic ring of 69 stones, many of them standing, many of them fallen from an attempt to destroy them about 150 years ago. Many of these Cumbrian circles are absolutely enormous. None of them come close to Long Meg, which is why we came to Long Meg. In the foreground is the outlying stone, which is Long Meg herself. Long Meg is a huge piece of sandstone carved on one side and dragged here from at least 6 miles away. I think the way that it sits in the landscape is definitely angled towards those hills. Archaeoastronomers' general conjecture is that it was sited upon some kind of notch in the hills. I'm not really sure how I feel about that, but definitely the psychology of the monument is definitely facing these huge hills. I like the mythology of Long Meg. They say that the stones will bleed if Long Meg is ever dragged down. When they decided, the farmer decided maybe about 150 years ago that he was going to clear this field, he knocked down many of the stones and was about to pull them away, and an enormous thunderclap, followed by a huge rainstorm, freaked out all the workers so much that they just all ran for it. So whether it was providential, it saved the circle, which is the most important thing. Whatever they believed enough to build this. So I think they must have believed something pretty far out, something powerful. The ferry from Ullapool to Stornoway on the Isle of Lewis, and we're going to see Callanish, one of the greatest monuments of all. It stands on a promontory right up on the northwest coast. It's just fantastic. Because the pilgrimage is just so extreme, it totally changes the whole feel of Callanish. If you had to travel miles and miles overland to get to Stonehenge and the A303 didn't pass so close to it, it would probably do the same thing. It's a trip. This is one of the most extreme places in Britain in terms of this landscape. It's definitely this, it is like some kind of weird lunar landscape. We're going off to see Margaret and Ron Curtis, who are going to be telling us about Callanish. And it's lunar orientations, so we're definitely in the lunar mode. Up on the horizon there, can you see Callanish? Far out. This is an ancient monument built 3,000 years before the Christian period, and yet its ground plan is the form of a Celtic cross. And we are actually at the stones. I think what you've got at Callanish is a love of ritual taken to an obsessive level. The most impressive thing is that you've got such a complete monument. From 1857 to the present day, that's when we see the stones as they are. For thousands of years before that, until about here, the stones were entirely covered in peat, which preserved the stones because nobody thought that it was a very important monument. All this stuff which would have been destroyed in their most fundamental Christian times had a chance to live. Then, suddenly antiquarianism in the 1800s became very cool and very hip. And so the Lord, the Laird, said, aha, we will now reveal the stones. And then, here was revealed one of the most fantastic monuments in the whole of the British Isles. To see this in its complete state is just wonderful.